Welcome to the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance Podcast, where we unravel the mysteries of behavioral finance and unlock the secrets to making smarter, more informed decisions with your money. Now, here's your host, Dr. Bryan Foltice.
Welcome, everybody, to the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance Podcast. My name is Dr. Bryan Foltice, and I am excited to talk about our topic today. We are looking at a program designed for juniors and seniors in college that we've called Money Strong. And we are building this program with an eye for students who are about to graduate to have a better understanding of what is out there. So that is our topic today, and we're going to unpack that. I'm really excited to share with you the progress that we've made and some of the details of this program. So regardless of your age, where you are at, I do believe that this has some implications for you. And so again, thank you for watching today. If you might have noticed an extra chipperness in my voice today, it might be because I am officially on summer vacation. And not officially. So we are done with classes and everything is graded and completed. We've got some meetings this week coming up with commencement on the weekend. That officially marks the end of the school year. That means what usually happens at the end of every year is we kind of ride this emotional roller coaster. So by the time we get to the end of the semester, my patience is wearing very thin. I don't have the same zeal that I had at the beginning of the year. And I'm always very, very grateful to have that time during the summer in order to recharge, come back, and put a better foot forward in the fall. This has been a super successful year, very, very busy, and but I wanted to share with you some of the things that we've been working on with this, what we call now Money Strong program at Butler. So all of this comes down to a real need to help students with their personal finances. And we all know that this is important, yet it is very, very underserved. And there are many challenges in order to figure out how to serve our students. And I'm not just talking about business students, we're talking about all students, non-business students. These are our pharmacy majors, our art majors, dancers, history, all these different majors, all are going to have to deal with personal finances. Yet, despite providing all of these services as a university, we've got health services, a gorgeous health recreational building to play sports and to work out. We have mental health services available to students who need it. All of these different organizations to help students. And yet we have no formal personal finance program. And trying to find somebody to teach about personal finance, you go to the bank or something and you realize, oh my God, these people don't even know what to teach or how to teach it. So there's many facets on why this is very underserved. And we started to identify this, and I just finished my 9th year at Butler, and I've been wanting to help students and build programs to bring this out, but had always found resistance in different levels. And I ended up, we were in a departmental meeting, and somebody said, hey, I heard you're interested in personal finance, wanted to do this. I think you might want to talk to a guy named Randy Brown. And Randy Brown is a retired, he's retired, and he works as a career mentor for our students. So if you go to Butler University and you're going to pay that much for tuition, at least you'll be assigned a career mentor on your first semester when you arrive, and they will help develop your career and planning and be a resource to you. And I had gone 8 years at Butler, and this 9th year was told to meet Randy Brown, who I had heard of, and he had heard of me. And I sat down with him and said, "Hey, Randy, sounds like we need to talk. What's going on?" And immediately, this man has this energy and just fills up a room. And I go, "Oh, wow, that is very, very cool." Found out that he used to be the old head of HR, head of human resources at Anthem, which is, I believe, a top 20 or Fortune 20 company here in Indianapolis. And he is now retired and doing this just for fun. And he has been very passionate about trying to help students get out of debt. So what ended up happening is this relationship was forged, built on our common desire to help students. And it was so interesting to see this come together when my weaknesses or blind spots are to try to bring it up and to work the circuit of deans and provosts and presidents and all these things, how to navigate the whole university. I don't know how to do that, but he does. And he didn't know what kind of content to talk about that would resonate with students. And I'm going, I've been chomping at the bit to bring this out and to show these students this behavioral approach to helping them with their finances. And so obviously we hit it off right away. And we started running the channels, as any good academic tries to play the channel game at a big university, or even a university. They have about 5,000 undergraduate students, but there's a lot of layers and a lot of different colleges that run their own colleges separately. And trying to navigate that becomes very, very challenging. But what we encountered was not resistance. Everybody was very, very encouraging. However, nobody really wanted to own that or have a department on it. We said, okay. So we went into Christmas, into the semester break, and we finally looked at each other and said, okay, there's nobody in our way. There's nobody that's going to take this over. So we said, F it. Let's just start rolling this out and see what happens. So from there, we ended up just putting the word out. We started doing some presentations about just putting the word out about this program that we were designing. And we started getting feedback from students on what they wanted to learn more about, how they felt about finances, and started devising this program around those feedback. So I probably met in front of about 300 to 400 students through these sororities and fraternities and business organizations, both in the business school and out. And so we had a really nice sample. And what we found was there's a really big need for this content, and people are open to it, but it's a really tough conversation, and we need to somehow frame it in a way that makes it engaging for students and makes it less scary. Because what I've noticed, if there was one theme that I would take away, even with my business students, is that it's a highly negative connotation to talk about money. Talking about money is highly negative when I ask them, describe in one word what it means to talk about finance. So you get words like stressful, scary, look away, bothersome. Any negative word you can associate is what I would see. Out of maybe 300 to 400 samples, I think I may have seen 3 that said fun and interesting. So we've got the 1% who actually find this interesting, but everybody else is very hesitant to talk about it. So that's where we have to approach it when we first start the conversation. And so what I end up doing is we've developed this program, and we are going to be rolling this out at Butler in its 4 modules. So we have 4 separate seminar-ish kind of learnings. And we're going through the application process to make it available to all students at Butler. So that's my goal, is to be able to have all 5,000 undergraduate students understand that there is somebody at the university who they can go to talk about money. And then there's an actual network and a system to get one-on-one assistance based on your need, on what you're looking for. So a lot of it comes down to, I've got all these student loans and I don't know what to do with them. I'm overwhelmed. And we found out that 50% of mental health service cases are finance related. And it just breaks my heart. And I understand that we can't eliminate that, but man, I am going to do my absolute best to minimize that number and to reduce that number significantly. So, 4 modules that we're talking about. The first one is an introduction motivational module, just to break down the walls, to get people to come to the table, to have a conversation about money. So this is very, very high level, but the idea behind this is to just provide that resource and to understand that with my personal story, I've gone through all the things when I was in my 20s. I had student loans, I had credit card debt, auto payment, all of these things. And I had to work my way out, and I had to learn all of this myself without having any support from my parents to talk about money. And just to know that you have somebody to talk to about money goes a very, very long way. And then we'll start a process on talking about some of the different levels of what to expect when you get out of school. And it's amazing that when I do my budgeting activity with my seniors, who are mostly finance majors, that when we are putting our budgets together, we have to discuss, how much does a cell phone cost? What is health insurance, and what does that mean? And what is a deductible? All of these different things we have to discuss with finance majors. So I'm going, man, if these are my finance majors who don't know some of these real basic things, why would we expect anybody else to know this stuff? This is what this program is designed for, to start the conversation before you get in too late. After all, we are what we call an experiential learning university, where we pride ourselves on experiential learning. And the problem with personal finance is that you can't go back and redo it and redo your savings and redo your financial decisions sometimes. And so sometimes we have to just sit at this before you make your decision point, and then start simulating, start experiencing some of the things that you're going to encounter and change the behavior. So there's a tremendous opportunity to help university students when they are juniors and seniors in college. So while they may have student loans, they haven't made all the other stupid financial decisions by buying a brand new car upon graduation and taking out a monster mortgage and taking on credit card debts, all of these things that people get into trouble even more so in their 20s. And that's why I'm very passionate about trying to help the students, because, man, if we start saving earlier, we know that compound growth starts that's where the magic happens. And so I start showing them the earlier we save, the more growth you get. And so anyway, we're laying that out. And what I like to do when we are talking about that is I'll mention something about net paycheck. So a lot of the students don't understand that if you're making $60,000 a year, that does not mean your paycheck is going to be $5,000 a month. Therefore, you should not start looking for your apartment with the understanding that you're making $5,000. You should be looking for your living situation based off of about a $3,700 paycheck. Well, where does it go? And so we start just breaking down a little bit about where the money will go, but then get them to the point where that's your budget. Your budget is $3,700 a month, not $5,000 a month. And we have to be careful. So I'm trying not to break their spirit. So we do it in a very light way. And if you've heard me do any of my lectures and presentations, you know it's light. And we try to have fun, if I can even dare say that. But that's basically bringing them to that reality of, all right, you're going to make $3,600 a month. Now let's break that down onto a per hour basis, per net. And usually we get down to, if you're working 40 hours a week, we can get down to about $22 an hour. That's your net paycheck. So then I take them into, all right, so now you're going to buy a new house, because that's what you're going to buy a new car, because that's what everybody else is doing. And you look on the road, everyone has a new car. And we realize that the average payment on that is $730. So I make my students go, okay, I told you there wouldn't be a ton of math, but we're going to do one math problem. We already learned that we're going to make $22 an hour. And if we have a car payment at $730 a month, you are working 33 hours and some change just to pay for the car that's going to drive you to the job that you may or may not like. And you kind of see people go, oh, well, that's bullshit. And I'll go, yeah, it is. But that's how we're trained. This is our default mode to do this. And we're working almost a full week just to pay off the loan. Not to mention to put gas in the car and to pay for registration and insurance on the car and to keep the maintenance up on the car. All these different things. It's for a car. So anyway, we're building this dialogue and understanding our money. And we basically leave it at that. We're going to give them some guidance on how to navigate their final time here and give them the priorities. But ultimately, it's going to drive us into the next step. So the next module is going to be taking a deeper dive into our own personal finances. And this is where I already do this in my classes. And if you've had me in class, not only I want to hear from you. So if you are out of school, by the way, if you're out of school, and you've had me in class, I need to hear from you. What do you think we should have taught you when you were in school that you wish we did? And now that you're out of school, what do you wish we taught you? So anyway, there's your homework, friends. Those of you, I know I have a lot of former students, God bless you, that are listening to this podcast. I'm going to lean on you now because I want some feedback, what you think. Anyway, we're trying to tee up the second module where we're going to look into the actual budget and start running some numbers and understanding that it's not going to be perfect, but we're starting to see, here's how much we're going to take in. We've already learned that, or we're going to learn this on your own personal estimate on what you think you're going to make, where you think you're going to live. And then we're going to start putting some numbers to paper. And we're going to start looking at some expenses just to see what this is going to look like. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we're starting to get a rough estimate of numbers. And through that process, we're going to start developing an understanding of what things cost. So just because you are paying rent that is $1,400 doesn't mean that takes care of all of your living expenses. So you've got trash and internet and heat. What else? Energy. So I think I have like 4 or 5 different bills at my house here that are in addition to my mortgage. And And probably more if I really thought of it. And I have to look at my budget because I do have it written down. But this is where you go, all right, let's just start writing this out and developing what our money is going to look like when we get out of school. So then what's going to happen after we do that second module and we talk about that? It usually hits a fork in the road. All right, got this laid out. Now what? And this is where I've developed this. So modules 3 and 4 are student loans, how to get out of debt, talking all about student loans. And then the other one is talking about investing. My postgraduate framework for this whole Money Strong program, I would love to hear your feedback on this as well. It is a decision tree. So if you follow the decision tree, all it asks you is, upon graduation, I have student loans, yes or no. So if you do not have student loans, then you follow your decision tree, and that essentially says, if you don't have student loans, before you receive your first paycheck, you should, when you're signing up for retirement, save 10 to 15% for retirement before you ever see a paycheck, so you don't feel that loss aversion from paycheck to paycheck, and you'll never miss it. And all you have to do is that for your working career, and numbers suggest, and compounding growth suggests that you're going to be just fine. Next, you're going to set up that budget and determine your monthly profit or loss. And from there, we're going to build a hierarchy of priorities. So this first one is 3 to 6 months worth of expenses into what we call this flexibility fund. Some people call it an emergency fund, but that just kind of infers something bad's going to happen. I like to say flexibility. So if I need to move to another job, if I need to make a decision that's in my best interest, I have the flexibility to use that. You can use it as the FU fund as well, in case you have a bad situation that you need to get out of. So flexibility fund, 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. And then after that, you start saving for whatever you want. So this can be start saving for your house, start saving for a car, start putting it into different investments. And so you have some flexibility on how you want to prioritize that and what you want to do. But really simply put is you're already saving for retirement, you've allocated your budget, and whatever money you have left over, you're going to start putting it towards savings and investment goals. And if you just stay on this channel, we say to you that you're already winning the game. And as long as you don't do anything stupid, that's what we're trying to avoid, things that are stupid. So sometimes people in their 20s like to level jump. And what that means is they can buy a big house or a big car and get overextended, or a new car or a big house. And so the mentality is we have to have something bigger and better than our parents or those around us. And we have to resist that, because that can actually take you from a winning situation and make it not so winning by making some of those decisions. Same thing for watching out for other bad spending habits. The things we talk about a lot in our world are sports betting. And it's a slippery slope, friends, and it's very, very real here. So you could get into some bad habits with sports betting, alcohol, and drugs, and you go, no, that's not me. Well, if you and your wife are buying a bottle of wine every night, and that's a $10 bottle of wine, well, there's $300 a month that's going towards something that you didn't even realize you were doing, but you build these habits. Other things, shoes and clothes. I think I'm doing okay with that. Yeah. Anyway, watch out for bad spending habits. Those are the only things that can make you go backwards. So anyway, I have the whole lifetime savings program for those of you who are not just graduating from college. that I follow in my own life that I will share with you on the next podcast. But this is for postgraduate students, and we keep it, as you can see, very, very simple. But if you follow that and don't go backwards, you can really build wealth in a short amount of time, and slow and steady wins the race. And with that. So now you have the other fork, which says, if you have student loans, what do I do here? How do I prioritize this? Well, number one, I tell students to save for retirement up to the employer match. So if your employer is matching you 50% or 100% of your contribution, I don't care how much you have in debt, we're going to take that free money. I don't know of anything in finance I've ever seen in all of my years that would guarantee a 50% return nor a 100% return on your money. So we are going to lean into that, take that free money. After that, once we set up our budget and determine our monthly profit or loss, we're going to allocate the first $500 to $1,000 into this savings fund, or a Murphy's savings fund, just as a small buffer in case our brakes go out, or if we need some new tires for our car, or something happens, our washer or dryer breaks down, these things. So if we have this $500 to $1,000 set aside, we take that money and can use it without having to take it on as credit card debts or loan sharks kind of debt as well. Once we get that little bit of buffer, we're going to really try to aggressively pay down loans with money that's left over, and really ruthlessly work on getting these student loans out of your life as soon as possible. And we do put a little caveat here, because everyone sets their budget and they think they're only going to spend $40 on all things a month, and we realize, oh, that's not really reality. And so we say, look, you're going to have some setbacks. Things are going to happen in your life, but we're going to just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward and avoid deliberately going backwards. If your transmission goes out, that was me when I was trying to get out of debt. That $1,950-something payment that made me literally cry when I had to write that check out just as I was getting out of debt. These things happen, but you have to keep moving forward. That is not deliberate. Deliberately going backwards is this new car once again, buying this nice new car, or a big purchase on credit cards and taking that trip before you have the actual money. Those are the things. And once you, and then from there, if we're really trying to optimize some of these things, it really doesn't get more basic than either, in order to more aggressively pay this off, you have to either earn more money or spend less. And I know that sounds really basic from somebody who has their doctorate in this, but when you really boil it down, that's what it really comes down to. So anyway, earn more, spend less. So if you have a side hustle, I tell my students, go work on Friday or Saturday night at a restaurant, serve tables, and use that money to make an extra payment on your student loans just to get you out. And then what's going to happen once that debt is complete, we're going to celebrate that. And once we get done celebrating, all of that extra money that you have at the end of the month now moves over, and you join those who don't have debt. And now we start that process again, where we allocate more into this flexibility fund. Now after that, that money starts going towards your savings goals, house, car investments. And then you're joining the rest of the party. So what we have though is, and then, okay, so that's the program. And that's where usually we bifurcate into those who have student loans, who need to work on how do we prioritize? How do I sort it all out? And that's where the whole debt module is based off of sorting out what you have, really trying to capture your debt, and then devising your plan on how these loans are going to work and fit into your life and into your budget once you get out of school. And then we've noticed that, and literally when we're talking to our students, it splits right down the middle, where you have students who are in debt, and that varies anywhere from a couple thousand all the way up to $120,000 in debt. And then you have about the other half of students who don't have any debt. And the questions that they're getting is, all right, well, you just told me to save for retirement. We've got all these other savings goals. How do I invest it? And that's where we're going to have a whole extra module for them to let's sit down and have a conversation about what this looks like and understanding the difference between savings and investing. And then we also have to now talk about the difference between gambling and investing in savings. And what's really interesting to me is we have these more or less like our attitudes about gambling that I hear in my classes and I see around me, where everyone's like, oh, I lost this much money on my sports bet, or I had this parlay and it almost made it, but this guy made it, and we glorify it on social media, and we were so close, but I lost all my money this weekend, ha, ha, ha. And we're laughing about it, and I'm going, okay, what about investing in the stock market? And the very same people flip their script and they go, oh, no, I'm not going to invest in stocks. That sounds risky. I go, okay, we need to have a conversation at its most fundamental level about gambling and investing. What are the differences? And let's start tearing down this stigma of investing in the stock market as this risky thing, especially if we accept gambling as a fun way to entertain ourselves. So anyway, that's part of it. And then the rest of it, this module is just trying to get students to understand some of the differences between investment vehicles and understanding the difference between an ETF and a mutual fund, stocks, bonds, how you allocate things. We'll have a very high level conversation about allocation and expense ratios, expenses that can really create a headwind on your returns. So I think that sums up our modules that are coming up. And so what I'm working on now is I'm going to make this course available online, so you'll be able to see the course and buy it. Because right now, if you go to bryanfoltice.com, you can find that postgraduate financial framework in just a Word document. That's the way it's set up. We're going to see this become more formalized, and my goal is not only in this next academic year, get in front of all of 5,000 Butler students, but it's also to make this information more well-known and more widely circulated to university juniors and seniors that are about to take their step into postgraduate adulthood and career. And the real purpose behind this is to really make sure that students are equipped to go out and to do their life purpose and to not let money get in the way of what they are called to do and what their real purpose is in life. After all, that's what we're trying to get people, that's what we're trying to use our money to align ourselves with our life purpose and what we're trying to do and to help other people. And not let it get in the way. So anyway, I've got a lot of work to do this summer, building all this content. You are going to hear way more from me this summer because now I am ready to unleash this. And other news, though, that we have going on, it just so happens that these presentations that I was making brought about a desire from students to build a personal finance club. And so wouldn't you know, as Randy and I are sitting and devising our plan for this, that students come in, and we're talking like all-star students coming in wanting to start a club, that have experience with student government, that know all the bylaws and procedures to make it happen. And they got this 40-person club. Before we even met and made it a formal club, had 40 people sign up for it, and then got approved immediately. So sometimes these things take many, many times in front of faculty senate to get this thing approved. It got it approved right away. And they are going to blow this personal finance club out of the water. And I am really excited. I already can see some of the topics that they're going to be talking about. And so they're going to use this at the same time as we are rolling out this Money Strong program. So two separate channels. And we're working on right now building a community of alumni who are financial advisors who can help assist students who actually need one-on-one attention with their student loans to at least devise a plan. And we're also building a support system will build a support system through the Personal Finance Club to then assist some of the students. So we're not giving financial advice, but as we're talking about trying to set a budget or high level, what do I do with this to organize some of it, we're going to train them so they can have those conversations as well. So a lot to look forward to this upcoming school year, showing you the progress that we've made. Anybody who is a former student or alumni wants to get involved, hit me up. If you have any feedback on some of the things that we might have missed, or once again, as I mentioned, some of the things that you wish we would have taught you in school that you had to learn maybe the hard way when you got out, I would love to hear what those items might be. And thank you very much for sticking with me through the end of this, and hope to hear from you soon. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance Podcast. We hope you found our exploration into the fascinating world of human behavior and finance both enlightening and thought-provoking. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And until next time, stay curious and financially savvy.